Good afternoon, everyone. We appreciate your time today to learn about the Journey to Safety Excellence. We are excited to show you the free assessment tools and resources available through the Journey to Safety Excellence website. The Journey to Safety Excellence initiative has been put together to help companies improve their safety programs. My name is Pat Cunningham. I'm the Director of Safety and Auditing Services for Browse, and I'm also a delegate to the National Safety Council. In looking at our attendee list and from correspondence with many of you, I know we have many Browse supplier companies registered today and some that are not currently in the Browse family. So please get comfortable. In fact, I know there's a group from one company listening today having popcorn and sharing a couch. For those not familiar with Browse, we are a contractor qualification service provider that helps our clients and suppliers track ongoing compliance against metrics specific to the client's protocols. Put in another way, compliance is not a one-time event. We are proud to be part of the national no-cost campaign to improve safety performance and injury prevention across the USA. In my over 25 years in safety, this is the first time anything like the Journey to Safety Excellence is being offered to industry. We know companies of all sizes are challenged with providing sufficient safety resources. We believe the Journey to Safety Excellence initiative can fill time and knowledge gaps for companies across America. By joining the journey, you are making a commitment to yourself, your employees, community, and clients that you are dedicated to continuous safety process improvement. And now a little webinar housekeeping. Before I introduce the speaker, I want to mention there'll be time for questions at the end of the presentation. Using the Q&A function on the toolbar at the top of your screen, you can type and send your questions at any time during the presentation. We will address the questions at the end of the presentation. This webinar is being recorded, and the audio and presentation slides will be posted on the Browse webpage within the news section. Today's speaker, Dr. Amy Harper, is the Council's Senior Program Manager for Workplace Safety Initiatives. He is responsible for planning and execution of the Council's very first advocacy initiative called the Journey to Safety Excellence. Amy has been employed in the field of safety and health for 17 years, having worked primarily in the insurance industry. Her experience varies from consulting with Fortune 500 companies as well as small business working on product development, marketing, and executive level management. Amy holds a master's and doctorate in social and organizational psychology from Temple University in Philadelphia. With that, it is my privilege to introduce Dr. Amy Harper.
Thank you, Pat. I just want to take a moment and thank Browse for their sponsorship of the Journey to Safety Excellence. The website and the resources and tools within it would not be possible without their generous support. The National Safety Council has a mission to advance workplace safety in every organization possible. And so in partnership with companies like Browse that understand true business success is not possible without sound safety practices, we can together work to provide companies the free tools and resources necessary to carry out this mission. So thank you, Browse, for your partnership. So with that, I will get started here. So this is called the Journey to Safety Excellence, and we have a website that we're going to show you. So the question is, what is safety excellence, and how do we know what that is? How does the council know, and how did we put together the things that you'll be seeing in the website? Well, we do know that there are some common attributes of safety excellence. Based on the research that we've done over the years, we've been in existence over 100 years, so we have a lot of history there to help inform us as to what safety excellence is. So I just wanted to list a few of these so that we can ground ourselves in exactly what we're aspiring to. So the first is we have safety integrated into business operations systems. We have a management commitment to safety regardless of current safety performance. We have workers engaged in safety and they're participating in the safety process. We use both lagging and leading safety performance measurements. And by that I mean not only looking at incidence rates and things that happen as injury rates, but also looking a little further upstream and looking at our operations metrics, our behavioral metrics perhaps of people doing the work, and looking at how our safety management systems are performing. We have an unrelenting focus on the reduction of risk, not just looking at the past injuries that have occurred and trying to eliminate those. And then we also have an appreciation of the value of safety to business vitality. So with that, we do have some research that we have done in a white paper, and we published in a white paper that we have on the website that I'm going to show you. And in this, it's a business case for safety. We did a lot of research and looked at what the research has to say about the value of safety to businesses. And so these are just some of the statistics that I pulled from that white paper to share with you today. $37,000 can be saved for each lost time injury prevented. Almost $1.4 million can be saved for each fatality prevented. For every dollar invested in safety, it's shown you get between $3 and $6 back in a return on your investment. It's been shown that examining a company's safety performance helps investors increase their returns. And then also 95% of American business executives say that investing in workplace safety improves financial performance. So that's a pretty high statistic there. So if all these facts are true, then why are so many companies focused solely on compliance and nothing more? OSHA's regulations cover the bare minimums for workplace safety, but do not by a long shot constitute the definition of safe or safety excellence. And how do we define safety excellence anyway? Is there a standard definition? Well, we have to look to the companies that have achieved the very best safety records, both in lagging measures such as incident rates, as well as in leading indicators. We have to determine what those common practices are and then translate those for the masses. And as more and more companies improve, the very definition of safety excellence begins to change. And so the entire bell curve of companies along this safety performance continuum shifts for the better. So that's the goal, and our shared challenge is to commit to this continuous improvement cycle. So that's why we call it a journey. It's never ending, and we want to continue forward on it. There is no final end game in safety performance. We can always do more to improve. So with all of this research and knowledge and study that we've done, we wanted to kind of put together a model that might help illustrate what this journey to safety excellence looks like for people. And you'll notice in the middle, we have what we call the 4 pillars of safety excellence. We have leadership and employee engagement, safety management systems, risk reduction, and performance measurement. And within all of the tools and resources that you'll see on the website, these are organized in that fashion. We have the 4 pillars for the resources, within the community where you can ask questions, you can organize those things by these 4 pillars. And what we say is if you're improving in any one of these, you're going to improve on some aspect of your safety performance. Along the outside, there's a ring, and this is more or less just a process that can be followed. That's a continuous improvement process. Starting with the orange arrow, there's determining the gaps and setting goals. So we wanted to provide a way within the website to help you determine what your gaps might be. So we'll be showing you a couple of different ways to do that through measurement tools. Once you've identified kind of where your gaps are and what you want to tackle, you need to develop the improvement plan. So we have help with that as well. Implementing the plan, capturing some lessons learned, and measuring and remeasuring sort of progress over time. So it's a continuous process, a journey. And then along the outside, we have 3 questions. And again, the tools and resources are designed to help you answer these questions and help you move forward. So where are you now and where do you want to be? If you haven't ever looked at your losses, or if you haven't done any upstream measures, some leading indicator measures for safety, we can help you with that so you know where you're at right now, not just from a loss and injury perspective, but from a further upstream measure perspective. How do you move forward? Those are important questions to say, do you have the building blocks and the steps to get from point A to point B? And do you need help with that? So we'll be providing you with information on how you can get help with moving forward. And then finally, how do you manage your improvement and measure your progress over time? The tools and resources that you see here are designed to be things that you don't just go in and measure one time. You want to reassess and continually look at data and metrics to help you know whether you're improving over time, and you want to monitor that progress. So that, in a nutshell, is the model of the Journey to Safety Excellence. The objectives for this, for the website and for offering you these tools, and just so you know, all of the things I will be showing you are completely free of charge. You just register and you'll have access to all of these free of charge. We want to educate employers first and foremost on the importance of safety in the workplace, and we want to reach, in essence, over 1 million employees and more over the next 3 to 5 years. Employers don't always understand. I think, in essence, they know safety is a good thing to do for the people, but they might not understand that it has a value to their business, and that it can oftentimes lead to bottom line improvement in the business. So we want to offer that compelling evidence to demonstrate that value of investing in safety. We want to provide a roadmap for you so that you can have some continuous improvement in safety, step by step, going through certain aspects of that journey model I just showed. We want to help you identify critical safety performance gaps and help you get to the next step so that you can spend your precious safety resources as wisely as possible to improve the things that really need improving. And then we want to have resources for learning. So we know many of you out there may be people who don't have formal safety training by education, but are in a safety role. This campaign or this website is designed specifically for you, in that we have some safety basics and things for you to learn more about this field of safety and how many components there are in it and what kinds of basic things need to be in place. And then finally, we want to provide a community for all of you to share best practices, ask questions, and network with other people. So those are the objectives. The audience, I sort of hit on this a little bit, but there's sort of a role for everyone here. We have the primary audience, I think, fitting within maybe the first 3 of these things listed. So certainly business owners and managers, people who are responsible ultimately for making decisions about safety investment. The accidental safety manager, as we call them, people who haven't necessarily gotten that degree in safety or engineering, but find themselves in a safety role, and I think we see more and more of that happening. There is a large contingent of you out there who are in that role and need resources. And then we have the safety professional. Certainly there's things within the site for the safety professional and a role there. And then the established safety executive. There's a role for folks who are higher level in their organization to give back. They may be on the site as an expert or serving as someone who can offer advice within the community. And so there are places for each of you who have safety roles or are business managers or owners in this website and tools and resources for you. So just before I get into the actual demo of the site, this is sort of a high-level overview of what I'm going to show you and what you can do on the site. The 3 main things are measure, learn, and engage. And we talked about that sort of being those components in the model is where are we now and where do you want to be? We've got to measure the safety performance, both in the lagging and the leading indicators. So we have an incident rate calculator that will help you graph your losses and take a look at any seasonality you might have, and it benchmarks you with your industry that you select. And then there's a self-assessment that looks at your safety management system, as well as an employee perception survey. So we'll get to those and show you those. In the learning aspect, we have 6 what we call guides, and these are really just sort of compilations of different training, webinars, articles, tips, tools, apps, you name it. We've probably got it in there. It's 100 plus safety topics, and right now we have over 600 resources. We just launched this campaign back in September, and so that 600 will continue to grow as we move down the pike here in the coming months. So we plan to add to that. And then finally, the engage portion. We want to connect you with people who can help. Sometimes, you know, you may have just a question that you need a quick answer to, or you're struggling with something and want to know if anyone else has done something that you don't have to recreate the wheel. This is the place where you can post a question or post a reply to someone even and help them out. That's the place to do that and connect with other people. So at this point, I will just tell you very briefly where to join the journey. Not that I want you to stop and go and do that now, but this is the web address to do that. It's at nsc.org/journey, and you'll see the Join the Journey gray box, and it'll say if you're already an NSC member, you can log in to continue. So if you have been on the site before or you've been an NSC member, you can log in to continue with the ID you already have. If you haven't been on the journey yet and you're brand new to the site, you can click Join Today, and I would guess that would be a good majority of you. That would lead you to the registration questions, and you fill those out and you are in. Again, the registration is completely free. The access to all the tools I'm going to show you are completely free. So this is where we're going to jump in now to the actual website. Okay, so let's start here on our home page. So if you were to go through the steps I just talked about and go through the registration process and click Submit, this is where you would land. And so a few things just to orient you to where you are. We've got the navigation on the left side here. So we've got our home page, we have the tools page, we have the guides, which are the learning and the resources, and our community where you can engage with others is called Safety Talk. So don't be thrown by that message. You also have a My Profile where you can upload a picture of yourself and fill out a little bit of background information on yourself if you choose to, just so other people can find you and get to know you there on the site. And then we also have some journey news that we periodically update, so there'll be some things to see there as well. But today I want to focus primarily on the tools, the guides, and Safety Talk so you can see what's there. So we'll go ahead and start with the tools. There's 3 primary tools that we talked about. So we've got our lagging indicator, which is our incident rate calculator. We've got our employee perception survey that is a little bit more of an upstream measure to say how well is everything we're doing in safety being perceived by the people who are working here day in and day out. And then we have the safety system assessment. You can click the Learn More button on any one of those, and it gives you a little bit more definition of exactly what these things are. For the safety system assessment, it's a 69-question assessment where you rate things from 1 to 5, 69 questions, whether you agree or disagree, and it's designed to be filled out by the person most responsible for safety at a location level. Now, that's not to say that you can't get a group of people, so say a facility manager, a person responsible for safety, some of your managers, you can all get each of you to fill these out and come together and discuss your findings. That's another way people have used this. But if you want something quick, it takes about 30 minutes to complete and point you in some general direction as to how, what kinds of things you might need to work on in safety. This is the tool for you to do right away. You can get in here and do it today, 30 minutes and you're done. So you can view some sample results. The product sheet is a little bit more information. And any place you see here where it says My Tools, in essence, what this is doing is taking you over to our tools application. So when you click on My Tools, which we'll do right now, this takes you over to our tools application, and you'll notice it says NSC Navigator. So this is your dashboard that you're going to want to see when you click any one of the tools. So don't be thrown if you try to click Safety Assessment and click Start, you get sent over to this, this screen. This is where you need to do everything that you're going to be doing. So just an orientation to what you're seeing here. We have this section, the upper left quadrant is the actions that you can take. So just among the actions you can do is you can add new locations. You can send a link to yourself for the employee perception survey as the administrator, and I'll talk more about that in a minute. You can send a link to the safety system assessment, so that's where you would begin that process. And then you can come back and do reports at any time on any of your completed assessments and surveys here in the report function. And then down here is the special group identification. And I'll just mention so that Browse can recognize those of you who are participating in this journey to safety excellence, this is a place where you can enter your Browse ID. And so that's specifically for Browse folks here in the special group identification. Over on the right in the upper right quadrant, we have the incident rate calculator and all of the data entry forms, and then there's 4 reports that can be run for that. So we'll get into showing you all of those things in just a moment. You have a safety system assessment status by location, whether you've started it, whether it's in progress, or whether you've completed it. And then the employee safety perception surveys by location. And what this does is it's a counter that tells you how many responses from employees you've gotten for a particular location that you've started doing the safety perception survey for. So this is a way that you can just see how many are in the system. So let me just start here with add a new location. If you have one location, this will be very simple for you. You can just enter in whatever your location name is. You can name it however you would like, whether it's a city-state, whether it's you're a warehouse, or you can name it your company name. Whatever it is that you would like to do here, you can. For those of you with multiple locations or multiple departments within a single location, and by location, I know some of you are not within 4 walls, so you can define location very loosely, and we do as well. But you can put a department name in here and do these assessments by department if you would like. I would just caution that if your departments are not very large, that you may want to just keep this at a location level, particularly with the employee perception survey. But here you can come in, add your location name, and for every location it's going to ask you for an NAICS code. And you can enter in an NAICS code up to 6 digits. So for example, I just said 238, and it's pulling up all of the 238 NAICS codes, and so you can see there's a number of contractors listed here. You can find the best one for you, and the one that describes you the best. Click on that, and then you can hit save down here at the bottom, and it will add that location for you. So you'll want to come in and do that up front, or you can do it as you're getting to some of these different tools as well. The next thing I want to do is show you the safety system assessment. So if you wanted to come in here today, for example, after you've registered, you come over here and you're going to select the location. So I have these locations entered previously. If I have a new location, I can still do that here with this red pin over here. So I'm going to add the location, hit save, and what that does is it generates an email with a link to the survey to the email that you registered for the Journey to Safety Excellence with. And I just want to pull that up really quickly just to show you the type of email you would be getting. It's just a brief email, and it has the link, Start the Assessment Here. When you click on that link, it takes you right to the survey. So these are the 69 questions, and you are going to say whether you strongly agree or disagree on a 1 to 5 scale with all 69 of those questions. When you're done, you click Submit, and that saves that particular location and that data into the system. So if you wanted to come back and run a report then, once you've submitted it, you're going to click on Reports. And you're going to select the location. And in this instance, I am going to select my Dallas location. And I'm going to select my Safety System Assessment. Click Save, and it's going to generate the report for me. Okay, so what you find in the report is you're going to see a graph that looks like this, the green, yellow, and red format. And all 69 questions are here. And the green is going to tell you where you scored above the 75th percentile. So what this is doing is taking your scores, and it is benchmarking your answers against a database of 500 other companies who have filled out this, the same assessment. So a percentile score of 75 means that you scored better than 75% of the companies answering that question, or people answering that question. So in the green, as you can imagine, those are things that you're doing well for that particular location. So this is my Dallas location. These are things you may want to replicate out to other locations. You know, if you're doing them well, see if other locations are doing those well as, you know, to do those well as well. The yellow is are items that you're going to want to take a closer look at to see how you might be able to improve those. And of course, the red ones are, those are more towards the bottom, so you're going to want to spend a lot of time just taking a look at that and trying to understand why you answered those the way you did. Again, if you can think about this being filled out by you as an individual, this points you in a certain direction, but if you had multiple people from a location each filling out their own version of this, you would now have a reason to get together and talk about your results and see what scored high, see what scored low, and see if you're seeing things the same way. So it's just a couple of different ways you can use this particular tool. The other graph that you get in here is more of a categorical look at the results. And so here's your pillars again. They're going to show up in a lot of different places. We've got the leadership and employee engagement pillar, and we've got 3 different subgroups within that. We have the safety management system pillar, risk reduction, performance measurement, and then you have an overall score. And again, these are percentile scores, and the thing to note is basically which one is scoring higher than the others and which one is scoring lower than the others, not so much exactly what the percentile scores are. So in this case, you can see workforce involvement is, I scored that low for myself in terms of my self-reporting of what's going on. So for workforce involvement, I may say, you know what, I need to go find out how I can get my employees more engaged in safety and how I can get them to help with the safety aspect. So it's not something that management ends up being responsible for, but it's a shared responsibility with everyone who works in that company. So that is, in essence, the report for the safety system assessment. Now I want to show you the employee perception survey. And one of the things to note about the employee perception survey is a little bit different than the assessment in that you are going to need an administrator for this survey. And in essence, if you're sending yourself the link to the employee perception survey, you could be the administrator or you will be the one who is getting the results. So you'll see these things tally up in your dashboard here, and you'll be the one who's able to run the report. So if you aren't going to be the one to administer it, you can have that person register for the Journey to Safety Excellence, and they can administer it through their ID. So I hope that makes sense. When you send a link to the Employee Perception Survey to yourself, again, it's going to the email that you registered with. You're going to add the location that you want to do, okay? And then you're going to put in a survey cutoff date. And that's usually, I don't know, a week or 2 weeks out, just so that you're letting people who get this email eventually know when you expect them to complete their survey by. So once you've filled those out and clicked Save, you're going to get an email. So you go back to whatever inbox you have for the email you registered with, and you're going to get an email that looks something like this. So it's going to have some instructions here saying you can cut or paste this into your own email and edit it, or you can forward it and just delete this first paragraph. So it's designed to be emailed to the different employees in a location or a department. If you don't have emails, or if that's not how you would like to handle it, you can also just have this particular email sitting on a computer because it's got the link to the survey. And each time you click this link here, it can bring up a new survey. So once they click that, let me get this a little bigger for you. You're going to get 10 questions. This is a very quick, very simple survey. This is based off of a larger survey that we offer at the Council for a fee. There are 50 questions contained in that. We picked the best 10, the most predictive 10, the best, in terms of the validity of the questions, to put into this bite-sized version of the safety perception survey here. So you're getting still some very good results and very good information. So once your employees fill out this, it takes less than 10 minutes, probably less than 5 if they read fast. They click submit, then you can go back, look up how many of your employees have filled out the survey. Let's say we're looking at my Grapevine location. I have 23 responses to that. And then let's say that's a pretty good response rate for me at that location. I can go in here, select my Grapevine location in the reports, and select my safety perception survey. Excuse me. Click save, and this is going to generate the report for me. So what you're going to see too is a very similar looking red, yellow, green format. This is also a benchmarking report. So what you want to keep in mind is that these are not necessarily your scores straight up. These are your scores compared to the database of scores that we have, and there's over 500 companies that have contributed, and there's over 1 million responses as far as the number of employee responses. So there are literally, this is a very stable database. We've had this product in place, the larger one, for a very long time, so the results should be quite stable. The benchmark should be quite stable, I should say. So here you're going to see the 10 questions listed in paraphrased form. You're going to see your percentile scores, and you're going to see where you scored the lowest and where you might want to gather a group of people together to see why this might have occurred. So once you have these results, I often hear people say, what do I do with the results once I get them? Well, the important thing is that you do something, whether you communicate out what the results were to employees, or whether you're, just making sure that you gather a group together to do a little bit more of a qualitative analysis as to why you got these. You can just take 1 or 2 questions and gather a small group of employees together and say, all right, tell me, what do you think about this? What's really going on? You can employ an HR person to help with that. You can do a focus group. There's a number of different ways you can go about getting a little bit more depth to these responses. Okay, in the interest of time, I'm going to keep moving along here to the incident rate calculator. First thing you have to do to get some graphs is you have to enter some data. And so here we've got selecting a location. Again, if you've added one, they should be here. If you need to add a new one, use the red button. And what you're going to do is enter the monthly data. So you're going to enter the month-end date for the data you're entering, the hours worked for that month, and the recordable incident count and cases with days away from work. So all of those things you just enter in. You can start today and enter in the month, the next month of data you get, or you can enter in the last 12 months of data, the last 24 months of data. However you want to go about doing that, you can. So you can load this thing up if you would like. So when you go back and have some data in the system, you're going to want to run some reports. And so for the total recordable case rate, I'm going to select my Fort Worth location. And the nice thing about this is that you can select, you can actually select dates however you would like. So it's not based on calendar year, it can be based on your fiscal year, however you want to define this. So I think if I just select that, it's going to be okay. It just won't have December in there. Okay, so the total recordable case rate is the graph that shows you, in this case, I looked back to the beginning of 2013, which would be my monthly blue bars here. And then the red would be my 2014 monthly data. And I have a year-to-date total recordable case rate, which is this line, the line that goes across in here for the current year only. Okay, so this is only showing you 2014. So you can play with the data, kind of see what time period works for you. You can also see the charted information. So if you want to see what the actual values are, those are displayed for you. So here you can pick out seasonality. You can kind of see whether or not you're improving in general. You know, this looks in general like we're kind of creeping up in our recordable case rate. So it's more information to act upon. One last graph that I'll show you. I won't show you the days away from work case rates and the benchmark, but I'm just kind of picking some that I can show you, so I can show you the benchmark here. I'm going to show you quickly just some data on the benchmark. So remember, I had to enter in an NAICS code for each location when you're entering the location data. What that's doing is it's pulling the BLS benchmark right here, and so that line is going to be shown here, and your total recordable case rate year-to-date is going to be shown alongside of it. So this shows that you're trending a little bit higher than your industry benchmark. And it also gives you that month-to-month comparison. So here we're actually doing some 2012 in the light blue, some 2014 in the yellow, and 2013 in the dark blue. So again, it's charted for you. You can start to see how you compare. And it's just good information for you to know and take back to your management team to help you in planning a business case. You know, if you have some expenditures you want to have for safety and you're trending a little bit higher here, this is a good thing to take a look at and say, hey, you know what, we're above industry benchmark. We need to do something to get this back down. Okay, so those are our tools. This is the Journey to Safety Excellence tool. And so now I'd like to go and show you just briefly the guide and the safety talk. So the guides, again, those tools that I just showed you, they are free, they're no cost. So once you've registered, all of these tools are free. Let's say we want to look at leadership and employee engagement. So if you recall the graph I just showed you from the self-assessment tool, I scored low on workforce involvement. So I need some help trying to figure out workforce involvement. How do I get employees more engaged? I can go into leadership and employee engagement in that pillar, and I can see the topics that are listed here, and one of them is workforce involvement. When I click on that, what I'm going to find are a number of resources that come up. Some of them might be an online class. Some of them might just be links to articles. They could be sending you over to, different websites. We have OSHA. We've got some other websites that we link to, so not everything is from the council. And then you can sign up for training courses. Now, I will say that the majority of things we offer in these resource guides are free of charge. However, if we do have a course or a publication or something that the council does offer that might be relevant to you, we didn't want to hide it from you. So when you click on these, it will tell you whether there is a cost associated with attending like a training event or purchasing a book or something. But the majority of these materials are free of charge. So you can just peruse, see if there's anything here that might help you. And so the guides, I just wanted to point out one other thing. For you accidental safety managers out there, those of you newer to safety, we have a safety basics section. So we added one to our 4-pillar arrangement here. So this is a good place to start looking at some of these sort of common topics people have questions about. So compliance assistant, insurance and risk management, safety and health plans, just some basics for that. And then there's a small business and safety section here that I would encourage some of you smaller businesses out there to take a look at. There's quite a few things in that as well. In the interest of time, I'm going to just quickly review Safety Talk, just so you are aware of what this is all about. When you click on Safety Talk, you're going to see these 2 columns here. We have a featured column and a trending column. The trending column is going to show you the most popular items based on the number of replies it's gotten, the number of looks it's gotten, number of people that have clicked like on it. So this is always dynamic and it changes from day to day, and we don't have any control over what goes in this trending column. If it's in there and it's popular, it's going to show as your top item. In the featured column, these are things that the administrators of the Journey to Safety Excellence want you to see. So here, for example, is the Safety Talk help document. This will help you upload a picture to your profile. It'll show you how to post a question, where to, sort of get the things done that you need to get done, how to fill out your profile. For the topics, again, these are organized by these 4 pillars again. So you're going to see leadership and employee engagement, risk reduction, safety management systems, performance measurement, and safety basics. So those are the kinds of things that you can go in and look through to say, oh, you know what, let's take a look at leadership and employee engagement, workforce involvement, see if there's any posts here. Now keep in mind we have just launched 2 months ago, so we don't have a ton of postings in here, but that's where you all come in and start to use the system here. So there's a posting here. You can click on that and open it up. You can see how many replies or views it's gotten. If you wanted to create your own question, you just go into the right topic. So if you had a question, you say, I don't see anything here that helps me, but I really need to get ideas on engaging my workforce. You can create that by clicking on Create Posting, create a Q&A, and then you're just going to get into a form similar to like an email almost that allows you to write that question. You put a title on it and hit Submit. And that ends up going to some folks, and it's not just the administrator, but it's like a series of experts. And in fact, Pat Cunningham from Browse is one of our experts that's serving to help us answer some questions that come in from folks. So you may see him respond to a few of these posts in here as you come in and take advantage of the system. So I know we're sort of allowing for some Q&A time here. So at this point, I want to turn it back over to Pat for some questions and Q&A.
Thank you, Amy. We'll dedicate the remaining time for questions. And as I mentioned before, questions can be submitted via the Q&A function on the toolbar at the top of your screen. Please hit all panelists, and then we'll make sure that we'll address the questions. So we'll get to them. We have a question is, will we get a copy of this presentation? And maybe I can answer that one, at least from the Browse side of the fence. What we're going to be doing, we're going to be putting we're recording this webinar, as I mentioned before, And we're going to be posting the audio and the slides on our on the Browse web page in our news section. So the information will be available for later viewing. And then another question says, can you post the website address again later? And yes, we'll do that. I have another question that says, is this geared only towards OSHA, or does it have an MSHA, Mine Safety and Health Administration component as well?
That's a good question. Right now we have, I would say the majority of things are probably OSHA. We've used OSHA resources in addition to all the other ones we have. As we build this out over time, we will start getting into some industry-specific information. So within the guides, you may see topics that begin to crop up for construction, or you know, for mining, or for agriculture, or things like that. So right now, since we've just launched, we kind of had to decide where our primary focus would be, and we did an 80-20 rule. So excellent question, and I would say stay tuned. We can build that as we go along.
Thank you, Amy. Here's another question. So if employees don't have an email address, how can we gather the data?
Okay, so when I showed you the survey, the email that gets sent to you as the administrator, there is a link in there where it says here. If you can find a way to get that particular link on a single computer, you could put a computer in a specific location and have people come in and keep clicking that here link. Every time they click here, it opens up a new version of the survey, and it's completely anonymous. Their names are not attached to it, so even if you send it through the email, it's not capturing who answered in what way. It's just saying, oh, another survey came in for this location, and it doesn't know who did it. So you can use the email as one way to do that, and you can just get someone to, you know, keep clicking on the here button. Or I would say pencil and paper is an option with the full version of the survey, but you know, we don't have a way within this particular website to handle pencil and paper. But I would say it's possible. You can get to the survey, print out several copies of it, and try to do your own sort of analysis. You just won't be doing the benchmarking aspects of it. But good question.
I have another question on confidentiality. It says, can contractors view your safety staff?
Can contractors view
your safety stats? So you showed a screen there showing injury rates and how they're trending over time. I think the question was more directed, this is my information. Can other companies see my information, my company's information?
No. No, your information that you enter into the system is viewed only by you. We don't have any hierarchies set up. There's no functionality within the system to set up any hierarchies. So that, like, if you had a boss who registered and you had a location that matched up somehow with your company name, they can pull it in and look at it. No. This is just the information you put in. If you run a report, you're the only person who can see it. Now, that said, we do have the functionality on those reports that I showed you to save those reports, email them to other people if you so choose, and share those with other folks. So there is that capability, but it's you're directing whether or not someone else sees that.
Very good. A question here says, we have several safety people on staff. Can the system be used by multiple people from one company?
The answer to that is yes, with the caveat that they each need to register and join the journey themselves. So they will need to go in, do the registration, and do their own location. What I just said too, with regard to the hierarchies, this particular tool, the Journey to Safety Excellence tool, does not allow you to go in and put in a corporate location and put in multiple locations and assign different people to different locations. If you are interested in something like that, we do have our Navigator product that will do that, but again, there's a charge associated with that. This particular instance, the journey, is designed to be done by for a single location and no multiple location roll-ups of data, if that makes sense.
I have another question. So where do I find my NAICS code? I have spent hours looking through the various websites.
Yeah, at the top of your tools dashboard, when you get over to the place where I showed you the tools, when you click the Add a Location button, there's a small sentence at the top of that that gives you a web address where you can look up your NAICS code. I believe, don't quote me on it, but I think it's NAICS.com/search, but I'm not absolutely 100% on that. But it is listed there. When you go to add your location and it's asking you for that code, there is a web address that you can go and type that in and enter in some keywords, for example, pertaining to your industry, and you can find that.
Yes, web address is www.naics.com. Number of them about emails, not having email addresses, which we've addressed. So here's another question on this employee's perception survey. Can it be printed out and given to the employee, and then the administration person enter the information for the employee?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for that, whoever thought of that. Yes. That can be done as well. Perfect.
Another question is, are any of the employee engagement topics able to cover employee behavior?
I'm not sure what angle that's going at. Are they able to cover employee behavior? I know we have some behavior-based safety, resources. I'm not sure if that's where you're getting at. Perhaps you're talking about employees engaging in risky behavior, and I'm not sure exactly where that question is going, so I'm not quite sure how to answer it. I'm sorry.
Will this website and majority of the resources always be free as it grows, or is there potential to be charged?
This particular campaign, our goal for the council and the reason we were founded back 100 years ago was to offer companies resources to be safer and do that free of charge. And so I don't anticipate this being something where we charge people to have access to what I've just shown you. I believe that will always be free. So if you're concerned, something that might be behind that question is, if I enter in some data and have that, is this site going to go away, in 2 years? Or are you going to ask me to pay to get my own data back? I know that question is probably being raised in some of your minds. The answer to that is no. I mean, this is something that we are committed to. And, with folks like Browse and other sponsorship dollars, this is something that we want to offer to companies, because we believe so strongly in safety and the value of safety for businesses, and it's the right thing to do anyway, that we want to make sure that everyone has access to some resources that can help them improve.
Here's another question. Is there a list or breakout of various industries that are participating? And could subgroups be formed from these similar industries?
That's a great question. Yes, we can see what in the registration form there are broad industry categories that you fill out. So we can begin to start to see what industries are represented there. One of the questions that I get too is, in safety talk, can there be specific industry groups to talk through industry-specific issues? And the answer to that is yes, there can be. Again, we are 1,200 strong right now in terms of the number of joiners. We want to let this play out a little bit more before we start breaking everybody into subgroups, but that is a long-term vision for the site, is to be able to get more industry-specific and connect you with people in the same industry with the same and similar risks and injuries that you have.
Another question on the metrics section of the website. Only allowed for employees to enter OSHA recordables. Is there a way to accumulate the leading indicators of safety for trending for companies that do not have many injuries?
Let me see if I can answer this question, and Pat, jump in here too if you understand it differently than I do. The self-assessment tool and the employee perception survey do represent two leading indicators for safety. So a lot of times when you don't have a lot of recordables, that incident rate calculator may not be of value to you. It's not going to show you much, and you don't need to enter your data twice just when you know it's not going to tell you much. So that's why we offer the two other tools that will get you a little further upstream. In particular, the safety system assessment is a pretty robust tool to help point you towards some leading indicators or activity-based things that you could be doing that would help improve safety. And as you, being a safety person or someone responsible for safety at a location where you already have a pretty good incident rate, it makes it difficult to justify what you've done over the past year. You know, has it made a difference? So you almost have to go to those leading indicators to show, okay, here's what I've done that has helped improve this particular operation. So I would point to things like risk assessments, JHAs or JSAs, job safety analyses, some type of thing where you're scoring, you know, the risk involved with certain activities, and you're picking apart certain things that will help eliminate or reduce those risks, and you can re-quantify those over time. So I would encourage you to, you know, do some research on risk assessment, job safety analysis. We have those resources too on the site, so you can take a look at those and start to begin to get more upstream and get some leading indicators in your metric suite.
Yeah, I think that question comes up a lot in safety, that it's a nice problem to have. I don't have any injuries. We still would like to have metrics tracking our engagement and what we're doing for safety, and so I think that's a list everybody's hungry for. Maybe there's a new metric that they can use for their company that they haven't heard from. And I know human performance engineering is a big one also in terms of where companies can go to prevent risk and mitigate risk.
And Pat, I'll just mention too that the Campbell Institute that is part of the National Safety Council just published, probably not more than 2 months ago, a white paper on leading indicators for safety. It's excellent. It is, you know, it lists actual leading indicators that can be used. I mean, it gives you tons and tons of examples, and it breaks them out into 3 different categories. There are operations-based leading indicators that are more sort of in the operations of the business. There are more EHS system-related, more safety and health-related leading indicators, and then there's behavior-based indicators. And so if you would like a copy of that, I think we could probably make that available as well, the white paper.
Very good. I see that we're actually out of time, and there's still plenty of questions being asked, and we will get to those afterwards as best we can. We appreciate your time today. We'd like to remind everyone that the webinar will be posted on the Bronx webpage within the news section. We'd like to thank you for your time today and hope that you've been inspired by what you've heard, that you use the free assessment tools, improvement resources, and reach out to the subject matter experts. We hope that you join the journey, start down the path of continuous safety process improvement. And again, we thank you for your time today.